Although some styles of film are bound to grow irrelevant over time, the Western genre isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It's a genre that is almost as old as the cinematic art form itself, and the best Westerns of all time have continuously inspired new generations of filmmakers to take their own spin on Western archetypes and stories. The Western genre is one that inherently lends itself to rewatchability, as many entries in the canon are simply so entertaining that they demand multiple viewings to completely appreciate. Although there are many new Westerns that have established themselves as future classics, it's often the older films that are most worthy of subsequent screenings, as their historical context makes them even more insightful. Remaking any film that has already been established as a classic is no easy task, as it is very challenging for a new version to live up to the original film that has become widely influential. However, The Magnificent Seven was a very creative remake that drew inspiration from Akira Kurosawa's classic adventure film Seven Samurai and set it within the American Wild West. Ironically enough, The Magnificent Seven was actually remade once more in 2016 by director Antoine Fuqua in a version that starred Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt. Film fans may enjoy rewatching all three versions together and comparing what each one did differently and how they reflect the changes in cinema over the years. While Sergio Leone made two Western classics, A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, the conclusion of this Man with No Name trilogy is perhaps the most rewatchable of the entire franchise. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of the most visually striking Westerns of all time, and contains what may be the most infamous shootout in film history. Despite a running time that reaches nearly 3 hours, the excellent performances by Lee Van Cleef, Clint Eastwood, and Eli Wallach ensure that the audience is never bored. As great as the aforementioned trilogy was, Leone found a way to top himself by making an even more rewatchable Western classic with his 1968 epic Once Upon a Time in the West. While it ostensibly told a similar story about outlaws and justice, Once Upon a Time in the West examined the end of America's frontier era when the national railroad system began to put an end to the cowboy lifestyle. Although its analysis of American history is interesting, Once Upon a Time in the West is packed with twists and turns that keep the viewers engaged. Few cinematic partnerships have been as successful as Robert Redford and Paul Newman, two A-listers of the golden age of Hollywood whose chemistry was completely unparalleled, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was Redford and Newman at the peak of their star power. Although the performances are reason enough to watch the film over and over again, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid also benefits from a great script by the screenwriting legend William Goldman. Goldman's ability to synthesize the sincere and the sarcastic helped Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid feel more memorable during an era when westerns were peaking in popularity. Although he has perhaps directed and starred in more great westerns than anyone else in cinematic history, Clint Eastwood managed to reflect upon his entire career with his 1992 masterpiece Unforgiven. While both Eastwood and Morgan Freeman give nuanced performances as the protagonists, Unforgiven features one of the genre's greatest villains ever in Gene Hackman's Sheriff Little Bill. The excitement of seeing Eastwood's Frank Money face off with an antagonist who is actually more cruel than he is makes Unforgiven an addictively rewatchable entry in Eastwood's extensive canon of Western classics.